Okay, so to now we'll start with the second unit of supplementary textbook, Moments. Okay, and here you have this. I think this was the third one. Okay, fine. What to do? One second. Sorry. Yes. So here you have this second chapter, as we told that day, that this is about this small monkey, and I'll just read you out the summary. In the story, Adventures of Toto. Toto, as you know, is the monkey, and the story is written by Ruskin Bond. And right from our childhood, we have read n number of stories of Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond has been described, has actually described in the story how his grandfather was fond of animals. He bought a monkey from a Tonga. In English, you call it Tonga, but I would prefer calling it in Hindi. Tanga driver for rupees 5. Initially, when the grandfather saw Toto tied up to a feeding this one thing, he found him looking very ill and ugly. As the grandfather had his own private zoo, he kept the little monkey in it. That means he had many other monkeys. Along with them, he kept this monkey. Toto used his tail as a third hand, and he used to hang from the branches, and you could see him scooping up and down, and would rather not use his hands for reaching out for things, and he would use his tail. Toto's presence was kept a secret from grandmother as she didn't like animals. One day, when grandfather was going out of station, he decided to take Toto along with him in his big canvas kit sort of bag, and which was provided for Toto. So when he could not hide it from the TT, it so happened that he was caught by the TT and would not. He kept it in such a bag that he would not escape, and that was in one instant which you people read. Gradually, grandmother accepted Toto, who was previously not in favor of her, of this animal. Gradually, and then next scene was this in winters when Toto had to go for a bath. He would cunningly test the temperature of the water with his hand because he had saw the writer also do it. When the water became cold, he would run to the kitchen fire and dry himself. If anyone laughed at him, he would feel hurt and would refuse to continue with the bath. मतलब छोटे बच्चों की तरह वो रुस जाता था. He used to get annoyed. Toto's mischief was progressing day by day, and from tolerance to intolerance. What are animals? Basically, they are that. In the beginning, he was a little toned down, but later on, he became intolerable. He could not be tamed or domesticated. So, in the end, fed up of the his mischief and his everyday breaking of the stuff and all, grandfather realized that Toto was not the type of pet to be kept in the house. Though he had many other pets, but Toto was not like them. He refused to get polished and learn the discipline. He found the Tonga driver back, and then he sold the Toto back for rupees 3. So, once again, I'll just. Here you have this. Let's see whether the question answers are there. Here are the summary. And yes, first question. Who is going to read it out? Anyone who wants to initiate?
Ma'am, may I?
How does
Okay, I'll give a girl. Who was the person who told? May
Ma'am,
I? Okay, Srishti. Just tell your name, beta. When I share the screen, I can't see you people. Neither can I see the chat box. Yes, Srishti, first one.
How does Toto come to grandfather's private zoo?
Hmm.
Answer: Grandfather loved animals. One day, he, he saw this attractive monkey with a Tonga driver. The monkey was tied to a feeding trough and seemed out of place there. Grandfather had great liking for animals, so he decided to buy Toto from the Tonga driver and bought it for 5 rupees.
Okay. Now, what is a throw? Anyone?
ma'am what?
What is a throw? Throw.
Do
It is actually a narrow and very long open container for animals to eat and drink out. You've seen somewhere near the villages and all, you have an open portion where they can eat, and it's like a channel used to convey liquid. All the animals together, they stand and have it over there. Have you seen it? Sometimes you can go in such an area like where there are horses tied and all. There you can see
Ma'am,
them
in a stable, we can see.
feeding through, huh?
Ma'am, in a stable where horses.
Yeah. Mostly, I mean, I have seen horses in such an area, but maybe there are such things built for other animals also. Okay, so yes, you're right. And after that, what did you say? Her grandfather was an animal lover. He felt that the monkey looked uncomfortable and out of place. Basically, when he saw that he was sick, so he decided to have him. Anyone who can read this, Srishti, you itself read. You yourself read this.
Yes, yes, ma'am. The writer's grandfather liked to collect animals and had made a zoo at home. One day he saw a red-colored monkey tied in a trough with a Tonga driver. He liked the monkey and wanted to add it to his collection. He bought Toto from the Tonga driver for a sum of 5 rupees.
Okay, so before this sentence that he liked the monkey and wanted to add to his collection, you can write that he liked the monkey, and he, as being an animal lover, he decided, felt that the monkey looked sick and needed care. So he decided to buy Toto from the Tonga driver for 5 rupees. Also, he wanted Toto to be added to his collection. This sentence you can write towards the end, because this was not the priority. Okay, the priority was not that he wanted to add to his collection. That was in the end. Okay. Second, Harish, would you like to try? Or Pushkar? Anyone?
yes ma'am.
Hmm.
Toto was a pretty monkey. In what sense was Toto pretty?
Hmm.
Uh, Toto was a pretty monkey as his bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies.
Yes. And what about the rest of the body? Um,
Ma'am,
yeah,
his
they were
hands
wrinkled.
looked,
Mhm.
they
Yes.
were dried up.
Yes, which needed due to the exposure of sun.
Yes, ma'am.
And Okay. In what sense was he happy? Pretty. Any good, Harish. Let's see what's written over here. Read this, Harish.
The writer says that Toto was pretty. He had bright shining eyes which were full of mischief. His teeth were like pearls. He had a long tail which was like a third hand for him. The writer's grandfather felt that a tail added to the beauty of an animal, so Toto was thought to be a pretty animal.
Okay, so this is a different angle which they have told. You can add this about the tail also and the previous points which you told. Okay, okay, good. Third question. Who wants to attempt? Archie, Damini. Uh,
Um,
huh.
Yes,
Who is
ma'am.
that?
Ramisha.
Ramisha. Okay, Ramisha, continue. Third
Ma'am,
one.
Damini.
Okay, Damini, you do the fourth one.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Why does grandfather take Toto to Saharanpur and how? Why does the ticket collector insist on calling Toto a dog? Answer.
Okay.
Toto was a real menace for every living soul in the household. Other animals in grandfather's zoo were at Toto's mercy even during night. So grandfather decided to provide some relief to other animals in the zoo and thought of taking Toto to Saharanpur. He was taken in a big black canvas kit bag with some straw at the bottom. When the bag was closed, all his efforts to get out were restrained. The ticket collector was following his rule books, as there seems to be no rule for fixing a monkey's fear, so he equated Toto with a dog's fear. The ticket collector's ingenuity tried to categorize all pets of a certain size as dogs.
Okay, good. Now you just read this because this is quite a long answer.
Yes,
Yours
ma'am.
was longer than this, I think. Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Grandfather took Toto along with himself to Saharanpur because, as he was a mischievous, it was not safe to leave him alone at home. A bag made of strong canvas material was arranged. Some straw was placed in it. Toto was placed inside the bag and the bag was sealed with the zipper. The ticket collector did not accept grandfather's claim that Toto was not a dog. He called it a dog and charged a ticket fee for it because only dogs were allowed to travel on trains. If Toto had to travel by train, then he would have to be termed as a dog.
Actually, you have to mention one point is missing over here, that the ticket collector called him a dog also because he insisted on collecting a fee for the monkey, probably classifying it as a. It's written on one word is that quadruped. If you had quadruped, that a four-legged animal.
Four-legged animal.
So you can say that because he classified that the monkey has also got four legs as a dog, so that is why he called him a dog. So that even also he termed him a dog so that he would be uh, getting the money, the fee which he had was supposed to take from grandfather. Okay. Yes. Now fourth one, Damini.
Ma'am, how does Toto take a bath? Where has he
Little
learned
louder.
to
Your
do
audio is not
this?
clear.
How does Toto take a bath? Where has he learned to do this? How does Toto almost boil himself alive? Toto collects
Okay, three
the
parts. Hmm.
pressure with his hand, then gradually steps into the bath. He steps first one foot, then the other, until he was into the water up to his neck. He rubbed himself all over with a stone. He learned it all from the author. Someday, Toto got in large kitchen kettle which was on fire to boil. He enjoyed the warm water, but when the water turned out to be hot, he jumped up and down. Suddenly, the grandmother arrived at and pulled him out in half-boiled condition.
Okay. Though your voice wasn't clear, I could make out that you have told the correct answer. I'll just read it out for the others. Toto would check the temperature of the water by inserting his hand in it. Then he would step into the tub 1 foot at a time. Finally, he would sit in it with his face out. Then he would rub soap on his body. When the water became cold, he would jump out and run to the stove in the kitchen to dry himself. He had learned this way of bathing from the writer, who is Ruskin Bond himself. One day, Toto jumped into a kettle of water kept on the stove for boiling, as he found it warm enough for a bath. As the water grew hotter, he did not know actually that it was on. He thought of ascending, but the cold weather made him go back into the kettle. Toto kept on doing this for a while till he was spotted by the grandmother. She pulled him out of the kettle in time, or else he would have boiled himself that day. Okay. Now the fifth one, I think this is the last one. One of the boys.
Ma'am, may I?
Okay, girls are more active. Fine. Archie, is it you?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell your name always. I told her in screen sharing I can't see the person.
Yes, ma'am. Why does the author say Toto was not the sort of pet he could keep for long? Answer. The author's family was not very well to do and they could not afford breaking of the dishes, tearing of clothes and curtains. Toto was very mischievous animal of all the others in grandfather's private zoo. This made the family decide that Toto was not the sort of pet they could keep for long.
Okay, fine. Now read this also, Archie. What's written here?
The author says that Toto was not the kind of pet they could keep for long because he was extremely mischievous. He destroyed many things. He tore the wallpapers, clothes, and curtains. He broke dishes too. The family could not afford all this and so decided to get rid of Toto.
Okay. One sentence, one thing is missing in yours and this answer both. That he was. You can begin with Toto had already shown that. Already shown means पहले ही दिखा चुका था in the previous part of the story, that he had already shown that he was not compatible. Compatible क्या होता है? You don't get along. मतलब जैसे दो सहेलियां हैं तो that means they are compatible. They get along. That is why they're compatible. So Toto had already shown that he was not compatible with other animals in grandfather's private zoo. And then you can go on that he had shown by his being mischievous that the different activities of this curtains and all what you're telling. Then you can tell all this. Okay. This point you have
Yes, ma'am.
about that he wasn't even compatible with the other animals, not only human beings but also with other animals. जैसे होता है ना ह्यूमन से नहीं हो रहा चलो बाकी जानवरों से हो रहा है तो मे बी द ग्रैंडफादर कुड हैव थॉट कि हाँ थोड़ा सा एक्सक्यूज कर सकते हैं उसके मिस्टीरियस एक्टिविटीज बट he didn't get along with anyone, neither other animals nor any of the family members. So this is done. I'll just close this, come back to the meet. Yes, I'll have to take the attendance also. There are very less students today. Okay. What I'll do is, yes, we'll start with the third chapter today. For that, we'll just, yes,
Ma'am,
yes.
but this chapter was deleted.
Acha, this is deleted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. And which other chapter? Other than this, in supplementary, which all the chapter Ramisha has been deleted?
The accidental tourist.
Accidental. Which number is that?
Ma'am, ninth.
Ninth. Okay. We'll do one thing. We'll not. We'll just see this video. I know it's quite long, but this girl is explaining in English quite well. Other than this, we'll not discuss the question answers. Just for the sake of the story, we can do the reading, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So then we'll directly come to the fourth one next time. Okay. I want to finish up at least 5 chapters. Then we will move towards the back to grammar or the textbook. I think textbook will be better. Okay.
So let us begin with the most amazing chapter, that is Ishwaran the storyteller from your NCRT book. So before moving on, before moving ahead with the session, let me ask you a very simple question. Do you guys believe in ghosts? Do you guys believe in something called what you call as paranormal activity? Yes, sounds interesting, right? But do you believe? So we dealt with a chapter. No, this is for class 9. No, you haven't studied. When you will go to class 10, you'll study about a chapter called Letter to God, which deals with which questions about the existence of God. Now here in this story, we are going to question again about the existence of something which is surrounded with an aura of mystery, and that is ghost. So we are all, very much excited whenever we listen, whenever we hear the word ghost, right? We are thrilled, right? So let us see what it has to talk about. We always see we watch so many movies related to ghosts, right? So many psychological thrillers are also there, and let us talk about one such psychological thriller in our session before beginning with our session. But before that, first let me introduce the author to you, and then we will talk about the psychological, story, movie basically. Okay. So now our author is R.K. Lakshman, and his full name is Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Lakshman, and he was an Indian cartoonist, illustrator, and humorist. He is best known for his creation, The Common Man, and for his daily cartoon strip, You Said It in the Times of India, which started in 1951. He received Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan from Indian government, so he's a great author. So I was talking about this movie. I think most of you have watched this movie and enjoyed this movie as well. So why are we talking about Bhul Bhulaiya? That you will come to know when we complete the story, when we move ahead and we move further deeper into the story, and I'll try to correlate, okay, some of the points of the story with this movie, right? I think you have watched this movie. If you haven't, then it's a must watch here. It's a great movie. Okay, so those who have already watched would be able to associate, okay, and would be able to understand why am I talking about all of a sudden a movie called Bhul Bhulaiya. Okay, so introduction to the chapter. So you can see from the very title of the chapter, the name is Ishwaran the storyteller. So from the name itself, we can understand that this story is all about Ishwaran. And who was Ishwaran? He was a storyteller. Now, why is he a storyteller? He was a wonderful storyteller. This was his art, and he was a perfectionist in that art of storytelling. So, when you narrate a story, it requires a lot of effort. Okay. So, if you have ever watched, no, not watched, if you have ever heard, nowadays you have Audible Suno also, right? So, that is all about the art of storytelling. If you have ever heard the Nilesh Mishra show, which comes in which FM, I forgot the name of the FM, but it is, if you search online about Nilesh Mishra show, you just hear that. It's not, nothing is visual, but you just need to hear that. And the way he narrates the story, by just hearing or listening to his story without even watching, you can almost visualize the entire happening. So wonderful so wonderfully and amazingly he is, he narrates the story. So that is all about the art of storytelling, and it is not an easy task, right? It is a very difficult task to, keep your listeners engrossed in your storytelling, engrossed in your story that you're going to narrate. And the special effects, the voice modulation, the body language. If you're not viewing a person, then of course the body language is not important. But the special effects, the background music, the voice modulation, everything is modulated and oriented in such a way that the readers get attracted, the readers get captivated, and they are transported to that world. Similarly, in a similar way, like we read a book and we get transported into that world, when we hear such amazing storytellers, such perfectionists, we also are transported into that world. So this story is all about a wonderful storyteller, and the name of the storyteller was Ishwaran. The writer wants to highlight this quality of Ishwaran, that how wonderful he was as a storyteller. So wonderful that his story almost, almost looked like it is happening in reality. And he was able to, almost vanish or disappear the thin line of reality and fantasy. Okay, so he was able to remove that line between fantasy and reality. So his stories were such source of entertainment, and in this chapter it was an entertainment to a person called Mahendra. So now let's move ahead with the summary of the chapter, and this is a wonderful story. So Ishwaran's story was told to Ganesh by Mahendra, who worked as a junior supervisor at different construction sites. So Mahendra is actually narrating the entire story to Ganesh, and he is narrating how Ishwaran was a wonderful storyteller and how Ishwaran lived with Mahendra, and how he, more like how he kind of captivated Mahendra by his storytelling, and the incident that happened between Ishwara and Mahendra, and how he spent his days with Ishwara. So this is what is the story being narrated by Mahendra to Ganesh. Okay. Now this is the narration that Mahendra begins. As Mahendra was unmarried, he said that he was living in temporary shelters that was provided by the company, for a construction company. And Ishwaran, he accompanied Mahendra wherever he went. He was an excellent cook. So he used to, not a cook only, he used to cook also. That means he ran his daily errands. He did his daily chores. Okay. And Mahendra says that Ishwaran would gather all the things that were required for a meal within no time. So he was great in all the work that he did. Every morning he would get ready, Mahendra would get ready, he would eat his breakfast and take lunch along with him to go for his home. And go for his work. Meanwhile, what did Ishwaran do? He would clean the living place, wash the clothes, take bath, eat his lunch, and engross himself in his favorite Tamil storybook and take a nap. So he always used to read a book, and from there he got inspired, inspired, and he used to narrate lovely stories. He used to weave out different stories and narrate in such a way that it appeared almost real. And in the evening, this would be the entertainment for Mahendra. Then he had the art of story, as he would use his bodily gestures, facial expressions. So he would use all these in such a way that all his characters would be almost lifelike, and it would seem that they are. So he kind of removed the fine line between reality and fantasy. He was able to do that with his excellent art of storytelling. So even though the stories seemed untrue, but Ishwaran narrated them in such a manner, such a unique manner, that it certainly made Mahendra curious, and he listened to it with great interest and curiosity. Ishwaran would start a story with an introduction. He would lay the background character and follow the story. So he would, plan all the process beforehand. Background, introduction, introductory characters, expository remarks. All these were laid down very beautifully so as to, make his story convincing. He prescribed a simple incident in such a detail along with the actions that he would create suspense. Yes. And once he told the narrator a story of an elephant. So Mahendra, he was told a story of an elephant by Ishwaran that had escaped from the jungle and entered the town. And it had destroyed, it had created a havoc. It destroyed the school property. All the students, they locked themselves up in the classrooms. At that time, what was Ishwaran doing? He was studying in one of the junior classes and he was watching everything from the rooftop, right? He took a stick from the teacher and came downstairs. He walked towards the elephant and it threatened him to attack, obviously. Now, Ishwaran, he said, I was not scared at all. He gathered all his strength and hit the elephant on his toenail quickly. So this was the rapid action that Ishwaran took. That was how Ishwaran narrated it. And when he attacked him on the toenail, that attack made the elephant stunned and it fainted and fell on the ground. So this is how Ishwaran outwitted the elephant. And then he did not complete his story. He said that he was getting late for dinner. So he would keep Mahendra hanging about there without completing the story. Okay. He went to get dinner, but Mahendra was furious. Obviously, he paused his story in such a point that would naturally arouse the curiosity of Mahendra. As Ishwar did not continue with the story, Mahendra had to remind him. So just as when your mother or someone stops at such a point and then keeps you hanging about in a suspense, you always constantly coax that person to, narrate the full story, right? So similarly, Mahendra also did the same thing. Then Ishwaran continued the story and said that a doctor was called and he brought back the elephant to consciousness. After 2 days, a man out was called who took the elephant back to the jungle. Mahendra asked Ishwaran that how did he manage to overpower that huge beast? And then Ishwaran replied that he used the Japanese martial art. That was karate or whatever it was. Okay. So here again, the author is trying to bring an element of humor when Ishwaran said that I used the Japanese martial art. So just like a kid says that I did this, I outwitted a dog, I used the Japanese, martial art, right? Similarly, Ishwaran also narrated the story in such a way. And then he had read about it somewhere that martial art was able to make a person unconscious. So from there, he cooked the entire story of elephant and how he outwitted him. Every day, Ishwaran would narrate one or the other story which was entertaining and which fulfilled the absence of a television. So there was no need of television at all. Ishwaran was a living television, so he was all in all, entertaining. One morning, Ishwaran asked permission to cook a special dinner because that day, that was the day when they cooked meal for the dead elder. So that was a special day. Okay. So that evening, Mahendra enjoyed a tasty meal and complimented Ishwaran on his cooking skills. But at that time, what happened, Ishwaran started narrating his story. And this time, it was a story of horse. filled with supernatural powers. So
So here I would like to come back to it. Even I would like to leave this story in such a turn that makes it interesting for you people. That what happened, what is the story about ghost. If any of you remember, around 2 years back, there was this lady who had come for storytelling. It was a workshop of storytelling. We teachers had this workshop of storytelling, and do you remember her name?
No, ma'am.
Simi. Yeah,
No,
you
ma'am,
remember
but
she
she
had a
came.
long hair, and I think her name was
Yes,
Simi.
ma'am.
I don't remember the second name, but her first name was Simi. And she did this thing of storytelling, which actually, even all of us, it was a very simple story of a coconut tree or something. I don't know which one did she tell you
Yes,
people.
ma'am. It was
Yes,
a
ma'am.
re-narration of a story.
And you see, saw the art, the way that single lady was performing on the stage, and the way she did it. She had only 4 or 5 props with her. One pagdi, one let's say one bamboo stick or something, and she was using those things. It was mainly her voice modulation, the way she was speaking about different characters the single person was doing. In which class were you people?
Ma'am, sixth May, perhaps.
Ma'am, six.
Okay. Okay, perhaps. Then I think you must have really enjoyed if it was in sixth. Because this lady, especially they do it for very young children. The younger the child, the more interesting it becomes, because young children can't read that much. So making the story live on stage without obviously a movie or something, and you learn so many things. You learn how to listen carefully. You are so engrossed in her acting, because along with the audio modulation and all, she was doing such good acting. So you people were, you saw that art, she was so good at it. So now I'll try to search. This girl also had told about this person. What, Nilesh? Was it Nilesh? The name?
Yes, ma'am.
Ishwaran.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
no, no, that was a chapter. Na? She mentioned another one of
Ma'am, literally.
Nilesh, is, I think. So you people also search. Maybe you will find it in list or something. I'm just telling you, this is also one of the careers people go for. Obviously, it can be in Hindi, it can be in English, anything. Language is not the matter. But projecting, this is because people are coming into it. If you see that nukkad natak sort of things, वो इतने असरदार होते हैं. If I have only seen it on TV, I have never seen it live. Though my in the colleges and all, you have this nukkad natak, students do it. It's so effective. They perform on different topics of social issues and all, and they have huge impact also. The people who have good voice quality, have this little bit of acting skills, can work on it, and they join NGOs and all, and they and people who are actually having a passion for acting go for it. They don't see it for the money and all. They do it as a side, this one also, normal job से जब time निकल जाता है उनका, तो they go for such things. And passion is also completed. मतलब आपके जैसे कई लोगों का फोटोग्राफी होता है, जॉब के साथ करते हैं, like that. So you people can think about it. I've taken enough time of yours, I think. Anyway, bye then, children. We'll continue this story next time. I'm sure you want to know about the rest of the story.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Then we will,
Yes, ma'am.
after the story, we'll start with the fourth chapter, a kingdom of fools, I think. Okay. So we'll complete
Yes, ma'am.
this listening part. It's going to be interesting, and we all have already watched this movie Bhool Bhulaiya. It's quite interesting. Okay, beta. Bye then. Sairam. Take care.
Ma'am, had you taken the attendance?
Yes, I have taken beta.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, beta.
Thank you,
Sairam.
ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Saira, ma'am.